Welcome back, everybody. We got our first episode of NBA Slow Your Roll today with Nick and Tyler. Say what's up, guys.
Doing.
All right, so we're about halfway through the season here, getting ready to hit the All-Star break. But before we get into all the All-Star debacle, let's go ahead and take a second and talk about some power rankings as things currently stand this season. So, what do you guys think is a good number? 7?
Yeah.
7? Okay.
7.
We'll go
Top 7?
Top 7, one by one, starting at 7. Let's see
Okay.
what y'all can give me here. Nothing too crazy. Nick, give me your number 7 team currently in the NBA power rankings, not based on just pure record right now.
Yeah, this is a team that's I believe second in the East. They're always at the top, but I'm gonna have the Bucks at 7. They're one of those teams that it seems like they always have that good record, but they always have the tough climb in the playoffs. So I got them at 7 right now.
Did the recent head coaching change influence your ranking at all there?
Potentially, I'm a Doc Rivers hater.
Okay.
He's a Western Conference, every time just get him out of there. So, I feel like he's going to be – they're probably going to go to the conference finals and lose if I had to guess. So, that's where I'd put him.
Okay. Tyler, what do you think about that number 7 slot?
In number 7, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 7.
Okay.
They've been 9-1 in their last 10 games, so they've definitely been trending upwards. If you asked me this a week ago, I definitely wouldn't even be considering them in the top 7 teams in the NBA. So they've been hot recently. Donovan Mitchell's looked good as of late. He looks like a little bit more committed to the team than he has previously. And also shout out to Jarrett Allen. He's been hooping too. And I feel like he had a rough start to the year, and he's been pivotal for them in this run. They've had to get kind of to the back up to the top of the Eastern Conference. So, yeah, I have the Cavs in 7.
Okay, for sure. Solid pick. 9-1 in the last 10. Can't argue with that too much.
Yep.
Nick, number 6. Who you got?
6, I have a team that's actually on top of the conference right now, but I'm not sure how confident I am with them going into the playoffs. But I have the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards, he's been cooking. Cat just had that big game. I'm not sure they have the age and playoff experience to get them through these really hard Western teams that they're going to be facing, but that's where I'd have them. 6 is perfect.
Okay. I think that's a fair slot for them. It's definitely a team a lot of people are going to go into the playoffs with lower expectations than you'd normally see with a team that's sitting in the 1 seed. And, maybe they're not there by the end of the season. It's a pretty small gap between them and, 5 in the West. So we'll have to see what happens there. Tyler, give me your number 6.
Yeah, and number 6, I have a team that's also been 9-1 their last 10 games, so we're keeping it on the hot teams trend, and that's the New York Knicks. I feel like they've been great recently. I feel like 6 is a good spot for them. Brunson's been pretty much a superstar this season, keeping them intact, and I feel like that move for OG, although they had to give up a lot to get him, it seems like it's been helping them a lot recently. Ever since the trade, they've been red hot, so they look good with OG. I feel like 6 is a good spot for the Knicks because there's still a few teams above them that have a lot more heavy hitters with superstar players than just kind of Brunson and OG. But the Knicks do look good, and I feel like 6 is a pretty good spot for them.
Yeah. Okay. Fair pick. Nick, give me your number 6. Or no, sorry, 5.
At 5, I had the New York Knickerbockers. I know he had 6, but you just can't play with fire, and the Knicks are on fire right now. They're heating up. Brunson's perfect. OG, I thought at first it was too much, but if it takes him even to the conference finals, it was completely worth the trade because he's a really young piece. It's going to probably stay with him for a while. Julius Randle's been hot. You always got Mitchell Robinson at center. So this is a team that's just perfectly crafted right now, and I think they're going to be on fire the rest of the year too. I can see them even finishing in the top 2 in the East.
Okay. I like that. So let me ask you a question about that. How long do you think OG is in their long-term plans for, and how long do you think he actually ends up staying there?
Yeah, to give away a guy like R.J. Barrett, who you drafted with a 3rd pick, you have to, the only reason you give him up is if you're getting a guy that will be staying there for a long time. I feel like OG, had those connections to New York, and he'll have no problem staying there for a long time as long as they keep putting assets around him. So I think it benefits both sides to have OG stay in New York, and I think he's going to be there for around 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that too. I feel like that's kind of they've got their superstar guard, and now they've traded for their their star wing. So I feel like the Knicks are now going to be looking for like a center soon to kind of fill out that 1, 3, and 5 spot that you kind of want to build your team on. And I feel like they're a center away from being like a true contender in the East, but they still look really good right now.
And you could really argue that they kind of went for a similar route with the 1-3-4 with Julius Randle. I mean, he's big enough to where you could consider him just a pure center. Like he's 6'11", I think. So I think it's debatable there, but they could use a more solidified star center for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But moving on, Tyler, can you give me a number 5 real quick?
Yeah, number 5, I have the first team out here in the West. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, they've been hooping. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he looks like an MVP candidate this season. He's putting up 31, 5, and 6, so that's pretty legit from a guard of his age. So he looks matured. He looks like a superstar that can carry them potentially to the conference finals or the finals. And then, you know, Chet's been doing his thing as a rookie. He's been hooping for sure too, and he's been incredibly efficient, which I think has been really crucial for them. As you know, Shea, he needs a kind of a big man to kind of get the ball to, and Chet's been making all the shots to kind of boost Shea's assists. And then also shout out Jalen Williams. He's been hooping as well. He's been their second leading scorer. And I feel like this young core, they're just going to get better and better. So as the Thunder are 5 right now, they could finish the season at 2. So, you know, shout out to OKC, and they've been doing well.
Yeah, a team filled to the top with young stars for sure.
Yeah.
Nick, who do you got at 4?
We're going on a trend almost here of either putting someone and then I'm putting the team one spot ahead of them. But yeah, I'm going Thunder here. Keep it short and sweet. They got all the talent, all the skills. They got a really young team, so they have a bright future in front of them. A lot of things people don't give them credit for is their defense. Their defense is actually great. They got Chet, who's a great rim protector. Shea's a good defender. They got guys like Lou Dort there. So I think they really got it all figured out. I don't think this is the year where they go really, really far, but I think they have a bright future, and I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up in the conference finals or finals in the next few years.
Okay. Seems like we got some high hopes for the Thunder upcoming. Tyler, give me your number 4. Man, I can't count, I guess.
Yeah. At 4, I got probably the hottest team in the NBA right now. I think we can all agree, and that's the LA Clippers. I mean, they have been on fire ever since things started to click shortly after that Harden trade. And I just like the things they've been doing. I mean, Harden's kind of shifted into more of a playmaker role, and he's also been really efficient, which is something he's been lacking recently, is consistent efficiency. And I've really liked that of him. And then obviously Kawhi and PG are kind of looking like they're starting to figure out who they are. Even though they've been playing together for so long, they're kind of figuring out like how to work as a team. And LA Clippers are definitely going to be dangerous as they just continue to get hotter and hotter at the right time. So that's why I have them in 4.
Absolutely. That was a trade that got a lot of hate at the time it happened. I mean, social media was just pouring with hate towards the Clippers, just questioning their GM, all that. But, I mean, clearly something's working, and they're going to try to continue that the rest of the year. But, Nick, who do you have at 3?
3, I got the team led by the greatest player right now in basketball, the number 1 guy, and that is Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic. It's pretty easy pick there to put them in a certified top 3. The other 2 teams I had ahead of them are just the hotter teams right now. I think the Nuggets are a certified top 3. You could put them anywhere 1 through 3. You know, they're going to be dangerous no matter what. And that's a team that, you know, has been filled and now has the playoff experience. So they're an easy 3, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them end up around number 1 at the end of the year.
Yeah, certainly. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jokic take him to the finals again. I mean, I think as long as he's there performing at this level, they're a threat to win it all pretty much every year. Tyler, where are you going with number 3?
You know, in 3, I got a team that Nick was kind of hating on. He had him at 7, I think, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks. I feel like the Bucks are a lock to make the Eastern Conference Finals, so therefore they're definitely a top 4 team in the NBA. I mean, if they're making the Eastern Conference Finals, they're one of the Final 4 teams, so you got to have them in the top 4. They just seem to – they have now Doc Rivers. They seem to kind of be clicking a little bit more and more, and I feel like I'm trusting that they'll click at the right time come April and May. And obviously, Giannis has been unbelievable. Dame's starting to improve, figure things out in that system, and Middleton, Lopez are still doing their thing. So pretty simple. I feel like they're a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference, and they will continue to do that, and that's why I have the Milwaukee Bucks at 3.
Okay, interesting. We got a little gap here in the power rankings.
Yeah.
I like that, getting something a little new. Nick, number 2, Silver. Who's it going to?
Number 2, revenge of the old heads. We're gonna give it to the Clippers here. These guys are full of just old ass dudes that probably shouldn't even be hooping, but they're hooping. They're hooping.
Yeah, they are.
They're really, really hooping too. And they've won maybe 20 of the last 25 or something like that. It's just insane how these guys like Kawhi and Paul George are just continuously bouncing back from injuries and insults from all these fans saying they're washed. But I mean, they put it together. They got Westbrook coming off the bench, giving them very, very valuable minutes. And I mean, I don't see a lot of holes in their game either. They could add maybe a big man, maybe a backup big man like Andre Drummond at the deadline. But I wouldn't be surprised if they made a big run.
Okay. People think highly of the big 3 roster of the NBA. Tyler, who you got at 2?
At 2, I'm going to have to go with the Denver Nuggets. They got the best player in the league, Nikola Jokic. I mean, it's pretty hard not to have the Nuggets in your top 2. The defending champs, and they're still doing what they're doing. They're still hooping. I think they're like a half game off first in the West, so they'll be all right. And I feel like it's going to be important for Denver coming down the line and towards the end of the season for those guys that stepped up in the playoffs from last year to continue to do that. They lost Bruce Brown, so they're going to need guys like Christian Braun, Reggie Jackson, and Contavious Caldwell-Pope to kind of step up as they did in the finals for them, and I'm trusting that they'll do that. I feel like the Nuggets have a good system, good environment, and that's why I have them at number 2. I think they'll go back to the finals.
I can't argue with the Nuggets. I can't make a point against them.
Yeah.
Nick, number 1, who is going there?
Number 1, they're probably the most solidified team right now. The Celtics, and it's hard to put them at number 1 because I had the Clippers at 2, who Clippers actually just absolutely destroyed the Celtics just a few days ago here by 30 points. But at the end of the day, they have the best record in the NBA. They have, some of the most complete team in the NBA. Adding the addition of Kristaps Porzingis was just a cherry on top, really, for this team. I mean, this team was already complete, and adding guys like that, Drew Holiday. I mean, it should be scary for anyone else in the league. The Celtics are coming and they just look amazing. They got to be at number 1.
Okay. I mean, one of the best records in the NBA. I can't argue with it. Tyler?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I got Boston, the most complete team in the NBA, 1 through 5 plus the bench. I really like how a lot of their guys have kind of stepped into new roles this season. Drew Holiday kind of taking the back seat, being more of a perimeter defender for them. Derek White stepped into this new role, which is he's looked amazing for them, and he's closing out games, which is great. And then same thing with Porzingis, kind of taking backseat, being like a 3rd, 4th option, which I like to see. And I mean, obviously Tatum and Brown are going to do their thing, and it's hard not to put the Celtics at 1 when they're the best record in the NBA. So I think that's pretty simple.
Okay, agreement at the top. Everybody, I'm gonna have to ask you to let us know whose list is better down in the comments.
Yeah.
So please do that and spam it out. Go to their main Instagrams too and hit them up there. But let's pull a little reversal here. We've taken a look at the top of the NBA. Let's go ahead and head down to the bottom. The Detroit Pistons, the laughingstock of basketball this season, led by Coach Monty Williams and GM Troy Weaver.
Calling them out.
My question is, are those guys headed out of the building after this season, or is it just that we're at this point in the rebuild, got to give them time, etc.?
And that's hard, to quote Mr. Wonderful, if you watch Shark Tank, the Pistons are stinky poo-poo. That's what we call the Pistons here.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Is that a technical term?
It's an absolute disgrace to the franchise from top to bottom. I mean, these guys really don't. I mean, they're on pace, I think, right now to have the worst record percentage-wise in the NBA of all time. I mean, it's just a joke in a time like that. And they have the talent, too. They got Duran, they have Ivy, they have Kate. They have guys that, should be enough to get more than, 5 to 7 wins halfway through the season. This is not where this type of team should be. And they might need someone to hold them accountable. And it seems like, their GM and coach, they're not the people to do it. So, I mean, I would have to make a change just because, this is embarrassing. I think a lot of people had the Pistons, doing better, maybe not, playoffs or maybe in that play-in spot. And it's been really disappointing to watch them. If you're a fan of the base, you just got to feel for them.
Yeah. At least they have more championships than the Bulls in the last 20 years.
Ooh.
So,
Wow.
Tyler, what do you think about that?
With the Pistons, I mean, it's tough to fire Monty Williams after you just gave him the biggest contract in history, right, as a head coach.
Yep.
But, I mean, it feels like they're in serious need of a culture change. GM is definitely the first guy out the door, and then probably Monty as well. And it's unfortunate because before the season they were a team a lot of people had as a potential sneaky team that could maybe sneak into the play-in, maybe get the 8th seed potentially, and if they overachieve, but they've just been horrible and it's top to bottom. They have a lot of moves to make, and you just worry about the future of these guys like Ivy, Duran, and Cunningham, and hopefully they'll turn it around soon. But I think it definitely starts with the top, and it'll start with the GM.
Okay. Fair. So, we're talking a little bit about people moving around. The trade deadline is coming up. And I got a list of names here of guys that have been thrown around in discussions. I'm just going to name some. I'm going to just ask you guys if you guys have potential landing spots or if you just think they're staying, like plain and simple. So, let's see. Who we want to start with here? I mean, I think let's start with a big name. DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Let's hear it. Where do you think DeJounte's landing?
I don't know if a team's going to be able to get a deal done for DeJounte. I saw today that the Lakers weren't as interested as we originally thought they were for Murray. So that's a little bit tricky of a situation. I feel like a sneaky team could be the Spurs getting them back. I saw that rumor was swirling a few weeks ago, and they're in desperate need of a guard in order to kind of help Wemby's development even more. And they have the pieces to give up to go get DeJounte Murray. So I feel like that could be a potential landing spot for him. Okay. But Atlanta, it just doesn't seem like they could get a deal done. I mean, they have such an interesting team right now, and they're in such a strange situation with Trae Young and the rest of those guys on that team. So I don't know if he gets traded. I think the Spurs is a name to watch out for. I think could also see maybe the Golden State Warriors coming in with a surprise move if they continue to struggle and they want to continue to maybe make the playoffs. But yeah, those are the spots I have for Murray.
Okay, so between 1 and 100%, give me your percent confidence that he gets moved.
I'm going to say 30% chance.
30% chance he gets moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Nick, where are you on that? Are you in a similar spot?
Yeah, no, I think it's more definitive that he does get moved. The Hawks have been almost stuck with this team for a while now. They're a team that's been expecting a big change for a while, and they really haven't gotten it. I don't think DeJounte goes to a playoff contending team. If I had to guess, maybe one of those medium teams like you mentioned, the Spurs or the Warriors or even the Jazz. Teams like this that need to get something refreshing and it's beneficial to both sides. I mean, the Warriors have looked absolutely awful, and a big part of that is their defense. So bringing DeJounte in might help a lot on that front. But I mean, the contract is a little hard to match, but you could always throw in guys there and get a contract matched up. He probably doesn't warrant the draft capital that you'd hope he would, but I bet you can get a deal done if you really want to.
Okay. Moving on to another name we have thrown around in discussions, Zach LaVine. Nick, I gotta go to you first, being the Bulls fan. Nick, the Bulls fan here. But what do you think?
And this hurts. Zach is actually the person that got me back into basketball. I love Zach LaVine. I actually don't think that the Bulls should trade him. Just want to put that out there. But he probably does have to go if they're not going to get rid of DeRozan. I actually don't think he's going to go unless the only team that I could see it working out with would be the Detroit Pistons. It would hurt my soul to see Zach. He's been a guy who's been criticized for the empty stats, his whole life. Going to Detroit, I mean, that...
Oh, they're winning tens of games if they get him.
I'm winning 10 games. No S. Just 10. No just 10. And it sucks because that's probably the only place he's going to go. I mean, I wouldn't be mad as a Bulls fan if we got, even by Bogdanovich to match the contract and maybe throw a young guy in there like Duran. It wouldn't hurt at all. That'd be great.
Duran is untouchable to the Pistons right now.
No one's untouchable when you have 5 wins, buddy.
That's true.
Okay. Let's put it this way. Like, the Pistons aren't going to trade Cade or Duran or Asar Thompson right now.
Ivy.
No one's valuable then. Nobody wants
They could trade Ivy. They could trade Ivy. Ivy could go.
Yeah.
In fact, Monty Williams, who we just talked about, has been starting Killian Hayes over Ivy for most of the season, despite Ivy performing better to most people's,
everybody,
pretty much everybody else. So
Pistons don't have much to offer. I'll take draft capital.
That's probably what the Bulls are looking for too. I think that's kind of the situation they're in terms of the rebuild. But that's where I put it at.
Though, I would say the chance that he gets traded is 20%.
20%.
I just don't. his contract is too much. You'd have to match up. I mean, that's too much to match up.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, honestly. Tyler, are you in the same boat?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'd say like 10%, 15%.
Yeah.
I saw the Pistons seem like the only team that can make a move. I saw the Warriors were maybe interested, but I don't see the Bulls having any interest in the assets they could give them. The Pistons being the only team, I don't know why the Pistons would do it either.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that would
make
work.
sense for either
Doesn't
party.
make
Just
sense
just
for
because
either
it works
side.
doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. So I don't really see Levine getting traded. I feel like the Bulls will just kind of ride out this season and assess all their options in the offseason. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see who else we got here. Malcolm Brogdon of the Portland Trailblazers. You know, they got a lot of guards over there. They got one they just drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They got Anthony Simons. What do you guys think happens with Malcolm?
Yeah, I think Malcolm. I'd say I'll give you a percentage first. I'm gonna say like 70%. He goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the only reason that us as a Blazers fan acquired him in that trade was to flip him as early as possible. So I can see Brogdon going. I feel like the Knicks is a good destination. They need another ball handler. The Lakers also a team in the market for a scoring guard that can handle the ball. Those two teams definitely should be interested. Also, maybe Minnesota could be a sneaky team. Minnesota's going to need to pick up someone at the trade deadline if they want to continue to do what they're doing. And all these teams that are going to be in the playoffs are going to need a ball handler like Brogdon to kind of come in on the bench unit and get some buckets and be like that backup guard that every good team has in the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick, where are you on that? Are you in a similar spot? Are you thinking like he's probably getting dealt too?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's getting dealt. I mean, he's a guy that's been, moved since he's been in the league. I actually had the Wolves as well. They need the guy off the bench just to come in and just be solid. I think he does go to a contending team or at least a team that's in the playoffs. He's just one of those guys where if you're not trading him to a playoff team, there's no reason. You might as well just keep him on the Blazers. But I think with his contract, it's going to be easy to deal him. It wouldn't be too hard. So I bet he goes. He'll probably be one of the bigger names dealed in the trade deadline. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Yeah. Got some agreement there.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of agreement here, honestly.
Yeah.
But Bruce Brown, what do you guys think?
I don't know how to feel about the Bruce Brown situation because I felt like they would have tried to flip him instantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird. I feel like they're going to continue to look to trade him, but the fact that they didn't flip him instantly makes me feel like the market for Bruce Brown isn't as prominent as we think. And he's on that big contract still. I'm not sure. The only teams I could see trading for him would be contenders again. So, I mean, maybe the Heat could go out and get him. OKC, a team that needs kind of a little bit more depth if they want to make a championship run.
Yeah.
Sixers maybe, but
a team also has to think does Bruce Brown move the needle
at
all?
Yeah, and with that contract's going to be tough to deal around the deadline. I feel like so. I'd say a better chance than Levine at getting traded for sure. Maybe I'd probably go like 30% again with Bruce Brown. It's a tricky contract, so that's probably why I do it. But the Raptors are definitely going to be taking calls for him. Like they're gonna want to move him. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, are you in a similar spot?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird that he even got traded in the first place because he had a bag. A bag.
Yeah.
When you pay for someone like that, you kind of invest in them and you keep them, and he's a guy that will give you productive minutes. So I don't know. There might be some GM, but I would say no. I think it might even be lower than Zach, just because the Raptors are so bad right now that you might as well just keep them.
Okay. Let's see who else we got on this old list. I think we'll hit up one more name before moving on. Let's go. Okay. Do you guys want to go one of the Bogdanoviches or Caruso?
Let's go Caruso.
Okay, Caruso.
Yeah, let's talk about Caruso. I'll start with Caruso. I'm gonna say 80% he gets traded. I think he has no purpose on the Bulls for the rest of the season, and he has a lot of purpose on a contending team or a team that's going to be making a playoff run. So there's a few teams I have with Caruso. I think the Indiana Pacers are the top team that could go get Caruso. They need a defensive guard, kind of maybe sit in next to Halliburton. And then another team would be the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Bucks are in a good situation to go get Caruso. They have some late draft picks they could trade for him, like late first. I feel like that's good value for Caruso, like 1 or 2 late first.
And they could really use a defensive guard,
At the
with
deadline.
not
Yes.
having
So
Drew
they
Holiday anymore.
exactly. So Caruso could maybe start some games, maybe come off the bench, but he's that defensive guard that they need so bad. So I feel like if the Bucks want to win the championship, Caruso is a guy you have to go for, and also Indiana should be in the market for him as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick, similar spot.
Well, the Bulls have made it clear that they want draft capital when it comes to Caruso. His contract is so low that, and they named their price, right? 2 first-rounders. That's the price for Ellis Caruso. You want to pay less, you don't get him. And I think he has 1 more year in his contract. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls just were a little stingy, kept him till his last year, and then dealt him because they had to. But I'm not sure if anyone pays that 2 first-round asking price. It would have to be a team that was probably a contending team that believes that those picks won't be as valuable the next few years. But no, I don't think he gets dealt. Actually, I think it's a lower chance, almost like 30%. I bet he gets dealt next year on his last year.
Okay. I kind of agree with that, especially given like that asking price. It just seems a little too high for any team to really want to go for. So I think I'm with you there. But now that we've talked about the trade deadline, let's go ahead and take a step in and just talk about some big things that have been happening around the league. And nothing's bigger than Luka's 73-point performance. Most points in a game since Kobe dropped 81 on Jalen Rose's head. So what do you guys think about that? Like, do you guys watch that game or highlights? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I watched pretty much the last 3 quarters. It was a pretty ridiculous performance, and it's also you got to consider I feel like the last, I don't know if you guys felt this way too, but the last 6 to 8 minutes of the game, he was passing a lot. He was just kind of sitting back to being a decoy almost to just kind of help them get the win. He legitimately could have gone for 81 if he wanted to ball hog. So respect to Luka for that, getting the win, and obviously it's an incredible performance. And it doesn't surprise me that he's the one that does it. If you told me someone was going to drop 73 in the league, Luka would be probably my top 3-4 guys that I think could do it. So hats off to Luka. He's going to continue to have these unbelievable performances, and hopefully he can do some damage in the playoffs. Because it'd be fun to see him potentially contending in these next few years.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And I think we've kind of seen a lot of big performances across the league. I mean, Cat and then
Embiid,
Booker. So just all those big performances and these high-scoring games. Is this the new standard of the NBA? Is this forever how it'll be? High-scoring, just 130 to 135 shootouts every night.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hear these old heads talking, and it's crazy. Back in the day when the Bulls were beating teams that scored 59, 60 points. And these are in the finals, when everyone's competitive. So to Lucas, have him score 73, I mean, just speaks to the game, and it's crazy because anyone that watched that game knew that he could have had 80s.
Yeah,
but, I mean, everyone knows he actually scored 73 because he, his little bro Booker, he saw him going off, so he had to one up him on the Kobe day. So he just had to do that. Maybe that was the reason. No, it was absolutely phenomenal. It speaks to his character too. They didn't really pull what Cat did when he was going off and try to be a little selfish and take those points. He really played for the team, make sure they got that win. He was absolutely gassed, but it was a perfect performance. He's a young star that he just he's very responsible, and I think he's a great leader to the team, and just speaks to his character.
I feel like I know the NBA is headed in a direction where there's going to be a lot more scoring than we've ever seen before, but I feel like every year we have this weird purple patch where these players are just scoring like crazy for a week, and then it just kind of goes back to normal. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, and I feel like that just happened in the league with all these guys going for 60, 70 points. So I feel like that happens once a year, and we definitely just got it this past week, which was definitely exciting to see.
Yeah, for sure. Fans always love to see some scoring.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and move on here to a little. Let's talk about some changes to the NBA, generally speaking. One big change that just came today is the NBA draft will now be taking place over 2 days, with round 2 happening the day after round 1.
Yeah.
Is this the right move by the NBA? What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I mean, it's almost disrespectful. And I kind of relate it to the NFL. These guys, some of their goals is make it to the first day, make it to the second day. Just don't be that one day. It's not even the round; it's just the days at some point. And these guys, the reason the draft is so big is because the stage is set so high. Everyone in the world is watching you. These guys are getting ready for these picks, and I think it minimizes the viewership and the hype just in general. I don't want to go turn it on and watch another 4 hours of guys that will probably be in the G League the rest of their life. I don't want to watch that. If it's on in the background after I just watch the first round, I will watch it. But
Yeah.
It's just a little disrespectful. Guys like Jokic and coming out of the second round, so I think they just deserve a little more. And I would like it if it was on the just the one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like the problem they were trying to solve was that NBA draft taking too long,
Mm-hmm.
So like that airing it for way too long. And I feel like the problem they needed to solve with that was maybe speeding up the draft process or speeding up the picks rather than splitting into 2 days, because people can always turn it off after the first round. You'll have people that turn it off and maybe do something else. But you won't have people tune in for the second round, unless it's just like you're either a diehard fan or you have nothing else to do. So I feel like the viewership will definitely drop in the second round as opposed to second rounds in recent history. And I don't think it was a very good move either. I personally don't like it.
Yeah, I think I'm with both you guys on this one, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you really look at it, like, you have players that are lottery picks that don't even play their rookie year. So it's like, what's the incentive of like staying and watching this whole thing when 80% of second round picks never start an NBA game?
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I don't know if it's just a move to like go on different networks on different days. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but the whole idea just seems weird. Like, it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot of reasoning behind it,
Yeah,
and as Tyler said, like, if you wanted to fasten up the process, if anyone, is one of those people who just watch draft, live, you have to turn off Twitter notifications, because they are ripping that pick 5 minutes before it comes out. That makes no sense. If they know, that means the pick is in. Why are we waiting another 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You cut. It's legitimately 5 minutes per pick, and if you're cutting times 30, that's a long time. Even half of that, is you're cutting down an hour. So I just think you got to get rid of all the BS. Just give me the pick. Let me hear it. I think a lot of the times what they do in that time is they call the person and tell them. But I think part of the fun is when they don't know. So,
and there isn't really a huge argument for like the GMs needing like an obscene amount of time, because like the draft pool is so much smaller than it is in like the NFL, where they get 10 minutes or even less in later rounds. So it's like, do you need all that time when you're probably working with a list of 80-ish guys? No.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, to add on to that, like, you have people that buy tickets to go watch the NBA draft, right? And they're gonna, recent history, they're gonna go and they're probably just gonna stay the whole time to get their money's worth, right? But nobody is buying a ticket to watch the second round of the NBA draft.
Yeah.
So that's also an interesting situation. Like, the crowd's just gonna be dead on the second round. Whereas, like, if you're watching it after the first round had just happened, there's gonna be people that are gonna stay. Like, personally, me, I would just stay for the second round because you have the ticket, you're in there, you might as well. So that's also another thing to keep in mind. The atmosphere will probably be a lot more dead for the second round now. So. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and since we're... Oh, actually, wait, no. I had one more change I wanted to touch on in the NBA.
Yeah.
My bad. So, you have to play 65 games now in order to be eligible to win the MVP. Embiid, people are thinking he rushed coming back, got hurt, and some people are mad about this rule change due to this, situation. So, what do you guys think about that change?
I mean, 65 is a lot of games, right? That's a lot of games there. It's almost, 80% of those games. And these guys, one injury, short injury that takes them out maybe 3-4 weeks, even just a month, you're done. You can't make all NBA. And these are things you negotiate in contract incentives. These are taking money out of people's pockets. And you see players like we just had with Embiid last night, where they try rushing coming back and they get hurt again. This is not something that should have been implemented. I would, if you want to implement it, make it 50. 50 is still good. 50 is a good number where you could still miss, a month and then a few days and you're still okay. So I don't like the rule for player safety reasons and just for, just the good well-being of the player. to be able to make those contract incentives, and also as a fan, it makes the the award in general just more fun. And when we already know 5 or 6 guys can't get it, it ruins all the hype. So
Well, I honestly think I disagree with this. I don't know if you're in
Yeah,
the same boat here, Tyler, but
I do too.
I
I disagree as well.
I'm one of those people that just generally thinks the best ability is availability. So
Yeah.
I think if you're not there, it really doesn't matter how good you are. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna hire an employee to work for me that's so good at everything that doesn't work, you know? That's just, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. Tyler, are you in a similar type
Yeah,
of
I,
thought
I
process?
feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's the most valuable player award, and if you miss more than 17 games, you're probably not the most valuable player in the NBA. So, also to add on to that, Michael Jordan had one full season where he played less than that number, and he got hurt early in the season. So it's like, let's just man up and play some basketball over here, all right? Like, it's you have 17 games you can take off. That's also like if we take this out, load management's going to come back into play, and everybody hates that when you buy a ticket to go watch the game. You're going to want to watch these players. They get paid enough to do it. So if I buy a ticket and a guy takes the day off with load management, that frustrates me. And I like this rule. I think it's made it a lot more competitive and made the players play more. As the league's gotten soft in recent years, I feel like some of these injuries these guys are playing through this year, everybody in the 90s and the early 2000s were doing that. So I like it, and I personally think it should stay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since we've touched on that, we can now move on to some of the borderline all stars. You know, those guys that we're just not sure if they're going to make it in. So
Yeah.
let's start with. Where do you want to start? Let's go Domantas Sabonis. Not top 10 in fan voting, averaging 10, or no, sorry, not 10. 20, 13, and 8. Is he an all star?
Yeah, I think he's an all-star.
Okay.
I think he's definitely an all-star. The fan voting is just it screws you when you play for a small market like the Sacramento Kings, where people aren't watching these games. And Sabonis has had the numbers, and the Kings have been good enough to warrant him being in the All-Star game over a lot of forwards in the Western Conference. So that's why I feel over Victor Wembanyama, over Lauri Markkanen, over a lot of these forwards in the West that might have a little bit higher fan vote but are not giving the production that Domantas Sabonis is putting on. I think he deserves to be an all-star.
I think I agree that he should be an all-star. And I also think that Sacramento is in a especially hard place to be in terms of getting fan votes because, even with smaller market teams like Portland, for example,
Yeah.
that whole Oregon, Pacific Northwest area, all those votes are going to consolidate to those guys. When
Yeah,
you're
of
in an
course.
area like Sacramento, Sacramento is still going to be surrounded by Lakers fans, Clippers
Warriors.
fans, Warriors fans, all of
Mhm.
those. So, he's competing for votes with other teams in his own community.
Mhm.
Whereas, these other small market teams, they at least have a passionate fan
Yeah.
base all consolidating their votes towards him. So I think
Mhm.
that's honestly the only reason that he's not top 10. What do you think, Nick?
keep it simple. Domantas Sabonis is the most underrated player in the league. Simple as
Yeah.
that. The
I think
Kings.
it's
I
fair.
mean,
Fair.
want one more example? Aaron Fox is 8th. I mean, he's had a stellar season. Why
Yeah.
is he 8th? Sabonis is not even in it. It's simple as that. You guys already laid it out. It's because they're on the Kings. He deserves it. Just give him the All-Star.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all agree there.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sengun.
Okay. It's close with Sengun. I mean,
Yeah.
Sabonis is definitely ahead of him. He's
100%.
he's in that conversation with Wembanyama and Chet and Karl Anthony Towns, and I know he got a lot of fan votes, and that's just because I feel like the Rockets have seen a little bit more hype this year, and the whole city of Houston was putting on for Sengun in the voting. So it just kind of depends. He's like 50-50 for me. I could see him maybe getting in that kind of last wild card spot. If it comes down to him and Wemby, I'd give it to him. If it comes down to him and Chet, I'd give it to him. But if it's like Paul George over him, Kawhi Leonard over him, then I'd probably take those guys. So I'd probably say like 50-50 depending on how it plays out.
Okay. Nick, what do you think?
I have him in. The reason why is because if you look at his stats and his record, he actually has better stats than guys like Bam Adebayo that are almost guys that you see every year nowadays in the reserves. The team record was what I would have said would have held him back, but the Rockets are playing, solid basketball this year. They need a representative. They haven't had one in a long time. I think Sengun's the perfect to make the All-Star game just that much interesting. So I would say he's in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I agree with you guys there. Generally speaking, Let's hit one last name real quick, and then we'll close up here. Paolo Banchero.
Yeah. Cue up the Orlando Magic song because Paolo is easily an all-star. I mean, this is honestly getting a little disrespectful. It's kind of the same thing. They don't have a huge fan base, but Paolo's that guy. He's had such a big jump. Nobody's talking about Paolo. The Magic are also much like the Rockets. They're a team that were bottom 5 solidified, and they're very solid. I have to put him in there. He's an absolute beast. He's carrying that team, and when I watch him play, I don't think he's 2021. I mean, he looks like he's like 28. He plays with such calm posure out there. I love him, and I know he's going to be in there. It's got to be.
Okay. Tyler, do you agree?
Yeah, I think he has to be in there. He's leading his team in points, rebounds, and assists. And the Magic are 8th in the East, which has been kind of a surprise this year. I think he has to get in over guys like Bam Adebayo, over guys like Kuzma, Porzingis, Mikal Bridges, those guys that got more votes than him. So I think Paolo Banchero is definitely an all-star. I could see him being a guy that maybe could get like a starting nod in 2-3 years because he is on an upwards trajectory for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, that was our first NBA Slow Your Roll podcast. Does anybody have any closing remarks before we head out?
Don't trade Zach LaVine.
Okay, Tyler.
I got nothing to say. We'll see.
A whole lot of nothing. Yeah. Okay. So everybody, y'all have to go follow the Twitter or X. That's a requirement. That is a requirement. You have to do that right now. So everybody go ahead and go do that. And we got an NFL episode coming up. That'll be uploaded either tomorrow or Friday. So, watch your inbox for that. And then peace out, everybody.